Hey guys, welcome. What's up, everybody? It is Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, live on YouTube or in your podcast feed, wherever you get your podcast from. Great to see you. Great to have you. I'm Guy. Welcome. In a battle of underachieving teams, I was reading some of the Dolphins coverage this week, and some of the people covering the Dolphins coming into the game, they were 6-8, thought they were the biggest underachievers in the NFL. And the Niners said, nah, not so fast. And in a battle of the most underachieving teams in the league, Miami comes out victorious. The Niners are able to keep pace ahead of the Arizona Cardinals, who found a way to lose to the Carolina Panthers in the battle for the fourth place schedule in the NFC West. The 49ers do have one home game left, the matchup with the Lions this week. And if you're going, then you have to go say hi and visit the sponsor of this show, Puesto. Love Puesto. Okay. We're brought to you by, once again, Puesto Mexican Artisan Kitchen. Every single one of you that takes my advice and goes to Puesto, or every single one of you that's already been to Puesto, knows this is where it's at. They have two locations at Levi Stadium. You can go and eat food that is unlike any food you can get in a stadium. The team may not be great, but the food is excellent. You go get the Baja fried fish taco, the crispy shrimp taco, the filet mignon taco. Who even knew filet mignon tacos were a thing? Puesto invented it. Plus, you don't go and get their seafood at the stadium. You get their best. They are making the tortillas fresh inside Levi Stadium. Who else is doing that? And then on top of that, you get the margaritas. And Lord knows you need a margarita right now with the fresh lime juice and the fresh strawberries. Puesto's got you. They also have locations, two in the Bay Area that you can go to anytime you want. And they have locations in Orange County, in San Diego. This is a family founded, family run, exquisite restaurant. The Adler brothers are big Niner fans. They feel your pain, and they will keep cooking through your pain. You show up to their brick and mortars. You got the Taco Tuesday, where on Tuesdays, if you get there from 3 p.m. on, if you dine in, you get half off all tacos. It's an awesome place to hang. They have fantastic drinks, fantastic food. Short rib quesadilla taco is my personal favorite. The lobster taco, the swordfish taco, the mushroom taco, on and on and on and on and on. Fantastic chips, and their guacamole is delicious. And then they got drinks on drinks, margaritas. So that's a great place to start the show. And at least have a little positivity. A little positivity. And hats are for sale. I'll tell you more about that later. I don't want to do back-to-back ads, so to speak, to start, but you can go to heyguy.co, the Hey Guy hats, all the 262 hats. You went, Guy, why are you selling them now? Didn't you want to sell them at the beginning of the year? Yes, I did. But I also promised them I didn't want to keep waiting. So for those of you who want to step up in this moment and say you support Brock Purdy, you can go get the 262 hat or the Hey Guy hats right now. All right. Well, that's it. That's all she wrote. The 49ers season is not over, but it's over. They were eliminated from the 1% chance they had of making the playoffs when this game began, because things out of their control happened in other games, and the postseason, which was once a pipe dream, is now a fantasy, a non-dream, a plan for 2025. That's where the Niners turn their attention. They'll play a couple more games and, whatever. We'll try to find some answers out of them. But there were so many things you wanted to see, even in a game that you knew wouldn't lead to the playoffs, right? This is not a Super Bowl contender. We've known that for a while. And you just didn't get. And I would say, at the top of that list, unfortunately, is I love, even in a season that is lost, I love at the end of a game, and they've been in this position several times, where they are up 3 or they're up 5 and they got to get a stop, and then maybe they get the ball back, and then maybe they can put a drive together. And then their first play is the first play is always promising. Oh, made a nice little first play here. And then the thing falls apart. And today it was back to back. It was one really good drive to put them in position. Another drive that wasn't, but a couple of defensive stops. They get the ball with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left, down by 5 points, their own 30-yard line. Great play, great step up bullet from Brock Purdy, Juwan Jennings. Avoided the sack, 17 yards on a rope, really nice catch, 2-minute warning. They got action. And I don't have the stat in front of me. I don't know. I haven't counted it up, but it feels like we've been in that spot a lot of times with this team, and specifically with Brock, where I just want to see, it's not going to be some big opinion changing situation. He's going to be back in 2025. They're going to pay him a reasonable, in their mind and his, amount of money this offseason. It's not going to be $60 million a year. And you just want to see him build. You just want to see him build. And he throws a pick. And he didn't do it. And I don't think he needs it for his confidence. I don't think I just want to see them do it as a team. I want to see him do it as a guy. I think it'll maybe make some people feel a little bit better about whatever's coming next, but they didn't do it. And I guess we'll have to wait for the All-22, but it looked pretty clear. I mean, we had a pretty good look at it. I don't know if he's throwing that pick if he doesn't get hit, because I think a lot of the attention in this offseason needs to be on the offensive line. And I know a lot of you feel that way too. That play was not working whether he got hit or not. I mean, him getting hit affected it, I'm sure. But I think he might have thrown that pick either way. That was not a 100% on the offensive line, didn't protect him, and he got knocked off course because of that hit. I think he's making a mistake on that throw either way. And whether or not it would have been an interception, I don't know. But there was nowhere to go. I don't know where that throw was going. The defensive back had already jumped the route. It was a bad situation. And it's not that he hasn't shown that he can put drives together. 2 drives prior, they're down 19-10 near the end of the third quarter. They get the swing pass to Debo. They hand it to Debo. Another swing pass to Debo. Brock makes a really nice play, kind of the rollout right. He could have run for the first down on 3rd and 1. He throws that little sidearm throw into Kittle, who makes a really tough catch. And then they throw Saubert the touchdown. And they just have not been able, they just can't stack. For whatever reason, they can't stack drives this year. They've made a ton of mistakes. That's a reflection of every player and the coach, right? Teams that make mistakes, that commit a bunch of penalties. That's coaching. And they make dumb penalties, young penalties, inexcusable penalties, hitting a guy while he's down on the ground. Now, the Lenore penalty was dumb. Like, that's what dumb, but not a penalty. But they had plenty that they earned. Ricky Pearsall misaligned twice. And that's everybody. To me, like, it's the guy's job to be in the right place, but it's everybody's job to make sure you're lined up right. And Jennings is over there. Jennings has got to be yelling at him to move up. And maybe if there's, we've seen it in years past where Juszczyk is aligning guys. He wasn't on the field on that play. Is that Purdy's job to, like, hey, Ricky, get on the line? But he's the quarterback. He's got a lot going on. You're supposed to be in the right place at the right time. And they didn't do it. And then Debo. I'm watching this Debo game going, Debo's performance rightfully is going to piss some people off because it's in a game that doesn't matter against an opponent that's not that good, as opposed to in a game that mattered when they needed it against the Rams and the playoffs were still a potential on Thursday Night Football, and they didn't do it. And, Debo rolls out and has 7 catches for 96 yards, albeit 1 at the very end, and ran the ball effectively, 5 for 25, 5 yards a carry. And it was too little, too late. It wasn't enough to beat Mike McDaniel. It wasn't enough to beat the Dolphins. And it didn't happen 2 weeks ago when they needed it the most against the Rams. It was evidence of, and I talked about this last week a little bit, and they just don't, I don't think anything, there are a lot of things that aren't guaranteed. And the situation with Debo is so weird. And part of the reason it's weird is because he's not good enough to get traded for anything of value. If he was playing better, he might be more likely to not be back on the team. But it's not a foregone conclusion that he's gone. And Whether he is or not, it doesn't affect the fact that on this team this year, what Kyle Shanahan did against the Rams was reflective of what he needed to do. For better or worse, he understands if he's trying to win a game, he's got to get the ball to Debo Samuel. And I know this doesn't feel like the right time for it, but I like to take a shot where I can, and so it needs to be said. The whole, I argued with most of you. Many of you disagreed with me. Kyle was trying to force feed Debo against the Rams. Again, today's the evidence, because he's one of his best players on offense, whether you like it or not. He did the right thing against the Rams with Debo. Debo failed in that game. Debo let them down. Debo dropped the opening throw of the game. Debo dropped the touchdown, the potential touchdown pass, the run plays, whatever, 3rd and 6. Oh, guy, what about 3rd and 6? He ran on 3rd and 6 with Debo. Yeah, a play doesn't prove the point. But I think today was a reminder of these are the options. I mean, Ricky Pearsall is clearly, he had 4 for 37. It didn't feel that impactful, and a couple of bad penalties. George Kittle's season is a really impressive season. I mean, what George Kittle has done, you wouldn't know if this guy was playing on a Super Bowl champion or a last place team. I mean, and I know he's playing on a last place team. But if you didn't know anything and you just watched him, 8 for 106 today, plays his ass off. Plays his ass off. Debo, today you got that game that you needed multiple times all year long and didn't get, which made it frustrating. Now, all I wanted out of the game was the opportunity to see if Purdy could put a drive together. And it feels like these drives, they don't just fail, they last 2 plays. They last 2 plays and end with like a pick or a fumble or hit in the arm, ball goes flailing. It reminds me of the Cardinal game earlier this year where he got blitzed and pressured and threw a bad ball through a pick. Now, you could argue, and I would argue, that in June, this loss will have been worth it. Josh Dubow, who was on the show earlier in the week, the Associated Press just texted me, the 49ers clinch 4th place with 1 more loss. That doesn't feel good to anybody. There's a lot of you in the comments of the live show on YouTube that I know this is going to piss you off, but the Niners clinch 4th place with 1 more loss. Not the worst thing in the world. They play the Lions next week. They played the Cardinals the following week. The Cardinals lost today. The Niners have 1 more loss. If the Niners get to 10 losses, even if they beat Arizona at the end of the year. So that's the game you really want to win, I guess. Or you really want to win the Lions game. But a 4th place schedule is what that's about, more so than draft position. But draft position matters too. It doesn't feel like there's much difference between 15 and 13, but there is a difference between 15 and 13. So if you're looking for a deep silver lining, for me, it's more about the 4th place schedule next year and the teams that you play and the last place team in the NFC North. There's a big difference between playing Cleveland or Cincinnati. So that's significant. The last place team in the NFC, did I say NFC North or AFC North? They play both. The last place team in the NFC North. There's a big difference between playing Green Bay and Chicago. So that's significant, those things matter. And then the last place team, the NFC East. There's a difference. Dallas, I love those matchups. I would rather see them play Green Bay and Dallas, but the last place team in the NFC East, they play 3 games against a team that's in the same place as them, the Giants, right? And maybe Ben Johnson is coaching the Bears next year, and Caleb has been reinvigorated, but that matters. That matters. I would love to see him do it without having significant injuries, MCL injuries. I don't think they have any choice. The reason Dre Greenlaw is playing is because he wants to be playing. They want to see him too. But the reason Dre Greenlaw is playing is he's out there trying to make money. He needs to prove to people that he's back from his injury, from his Achilles, that he can stay healthy for 4 games. He obviously can't. And that he's worthy of an offseason contract. His best move now is going to be coming back to the 49ers. Now, maybe maybe the Texans will pay him, or, there's so many guys who've been around him out there. Maybe Saleh is somebody's defensive coordinator somewhere else, or maybe Ulbrich is somebody's defensive coordinator somewhere else, and signs him to a minimum. And maybe that's better. Part of me wonders if that's better. I mean, Dre Greenlaw being on their team is a big deal when he's healthy, but is it best if they give Dre Greenlaw a minimum salary, bring him back with the expectation that he's one of their 2 starting linebackers and is going to have a great prove-it year, and then gets hurt in the first 3 weeks of the season or gets hurt in the preseason, and here you are counting on Dre Greenlaw being one of the key pieces of it? We just get Greenlaw back, and you get McCaffrey back, and you make a couple other moves, and you run it back with this squad. That's really dangerous, man. That is, like, they need another running back, clearly, a good running back, and I'd love to see Greenlaw back, and maybe he's back cheap, but they're still going to need another linebacker. They just can't go into the season having one of their keys be, as long as Dre Greenlaw stays healthy, ... You just can't have it. But, I mean, that's why he's playing. He's not playing because the Niners want to force him out there. He's playing because he needs to play, he thinks, I'm sure. And I would feel the same way. I think we'd all feel the same if we were in Dre Greenlaw's spot. I worked my ass off to get back from this Achilles injury, and now I want to play for the last month. I'm in a contract year. I want to prove to people that they need to pay me. That's what you do. And so I don't blame them for playing him, but this is he probably shouldn't play the rest of the year now with that calf. I mean, I remember a player telling me this years ago. It was Doug Christie doing NBA stuff. Doug was really into, the former Kings player. He was really into fitness, and he was always adamant. Like, the second you hurt one thing, the opposite side of your body is what gets hurt next. You hurt your right knee, now your left ankle is going to get hurt. You hurt your left calf, now your right knee is going to get hurt. You just overcompensate. Maybe that's what happened with him, maybe not, but it has happened, and it's too bad because he definitely changes them. But I just don't think they can go into next year totally reliant on him. And you can't rely on Jake Moody. That's the other the other thing here with Moody is that he's not expensive. Like, you'd love to. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, it feels like, has thrown more Microsoft Surface tablets because of Jake Moody. If we had a leaderboard of who makes Kyle Shanahan throw a Microsoft Surface tablet, it feels like Jake Moody would lead the team, and there's nothing he can do about it. It wouldn't be Debo. It wouldn't be Brock. I'm not sure who it is. I think it's Moody. But I don't know they really have a move. First you'd have to find somebody. You saw what the group of guys was like. But the problem for Shanahan is he can't trust them from 38 yards. Now, you can run him out there from 52. You can run him out there for a Super Bowl record, and he'll hit it, maybe. But and again, these are all the problem for this team is there are 15 things on the to-do list. And it'd be easy if you could just run it, get all your hurt guys healthy, and then run it back, and that should be good enough. But that would be I think it'd be foolish to do that. It would be foolish to do that. And not just because the guys that have been hurt are guys that get hurt, right? Unfortunately, Trent Williams just gets hurt every year. It's full. I mean, McCaffrey, not every year, but now he's getting hurt. Greenlaw gets banged up every year. And now everybody, and now Ayuk's coming off an injury. Everybody is going to be a year older. That's the way it goes. So I think that'd be very foolish of them. That cannot be their offseason plan. Part of what they're going to say this offseason is that Ricky Pearsall should be better next year. That it wasn't just that he missed the beginning of the season. It was all the practice that he missed, all the camp that he missed. And in theory, that's true. That is sound logic. That is going to be sound logic. Maybe I'll feel that way. I don't know. But, Ayuk's going to be back. Jennings is going to be back. Pearsall is going to be back. Kittle is going to be back. Is Debo going to be back? If he's not, do you find somebody else that can be a better contributor than him? It feels like it's a little, or I don't know what their moves are at receiver with Debo. It's just weird, but they got to button down they just leaking oil at every position. And it feels like the top of the list for me is the offensive line. It's the very top of the list. I know looking at some of the comments and some of them that I have pinned here that I'll put up at some point, that Brock is a lightning rod of a conversation, and how much they pay him affects, for some of you, how much you like him. How much he gets paid does not change who he is as a player. And I do think they're just in a position that they'll end up paying him, and it won't be $60 million a year. And it will be life-changing money for him, but it won't be Dak money. It won't be top 7 money. It will in maybe one of the categories to look like it. And so what that means is the best thing they can do is spend a lot of their attention on their offensive line. That would help him a ton. Like every player, he's affected by pressure. Batted balls, I thought it was interesting. Romo had the stat today, 4th most batted balls. One of them came before Kittle was wide open. Should have been a touchdown. Ball got batted. Good play in the first half. But they can't change who he is. You can't change who he is. Some of you don't pay him, make him play it out. Let's just say that happens. Very unlikely, but let's just say that happens. You still need to find a way to help him be as good as he can be and to win next year. You're hosting the Super Bowl next year. You have a schedule that now we'll see where the rest days are and the buys and how many teams off buys and all that. But you are set up in 2025 to bounce back if you play it right, if you're them. And if you build a solid team and you don't make mistakes. And whether you pay Brock or not, 2025, if you do pay him, is not the year that his big money, if he gets more money than you want him to get. 2025 is not the year where it kills you in the salary cap. So the best thing they can do is make sure he has everything he needs just to sit back there and run the offense. And it creates for them a team whose top priority has to be offensive line. Offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. Comment here, never forget we could have had Powers Johnson or Frazier. Should they have just drafted Frazier, the center, at the end of the first round? It would have been, 25 picks earlier than he went. But so what? They took Pearsall earlier than he would have gone. That would have been, he was high on my list. I would have wanted to draft him. They didn't. But they, now they're they just have to, it feels like fill so many spots on the offensive line. Now, immediately. Can they do it? Can they do it in a way where they don't miss? Can they hit bang, 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 3 offensive linemen? At least 2. That's a lot of plugs that they got to plug. And count, I guess, on Trent coming back healthy. Been through a lot. What are the notes? So I think the Moody thing is interesting because I don't think it's a tough position to be in because he's not expensive and you'd love to find a more reliable guy, but you're not going to draft a guy, obviously. He's only been in the league 2 years. He really frustrates the coach. He really puts you in bad spots. A more explosive offense, you could overcome it. The problem is when Moody misses a field goal at the end of the third quarter, you're only going to have 2 more possessions. Watching the Niners play the Dolphins today, I'm sure it was affected by the fact that they'd already been eliminated and there just felt like there was less juice on it all. But man, that was boring. And part of it is just not much explosion. And I was watching the Dolphins tight end screen to death and the Niners tight end and receiver screen to death. And I was like, oh my God, put me out of my misery. So when you play like that, Miami made kicks. You just can't miss kicks because it takes you so long to get down the field and score. And it hurts it hurts them more than it hurts Buffalo, let's say, if they miss kicks. It hurts everybody. I mean, no coach has the tolerance for it. But it's some proven guy doesn't cost $1.5 million, which is what their guy costs. Moody. I'll tell you something else that frustrated me today. And this is, I don't know why teams are so bad at this. Teams are so bad at this. It's like they have no system to really communicate fast enough, which is, now somebody got mad at me for saying they got lucky. They got lucky. They threw on that third possession. Purdy throws that ball, gets deflected by Patrick Taylor. He almost catches it, pops up in the air. That big D lineman thought he intercepted. His helmet came off, which I thought that was a participation foul, a personal foul on the guy whose helmet comes off. But that must be a college rule. I mean, Witten did it. That must be in college. If you have your helmet off and you keep playing in the play, it's a penalty on you. But that must not be an NFL rule. I know the college rule is better, but but they look at it, they say it's incomplete. When they slow it down, it makes it really look incomplete because you can't really tell, did he pin the ball against the ground or did he flick it up with his fingers? And my feeling, the Niners go up to the line of scrimmage, and they're at the line of scrimmage for 8 seconds, and they put a guy in motion, and then Mike McDaniel throws the red challenge flag. Now, it was a bad challenge. He lost the challenge, so maybe it doesn't matter. But in that situation, when you think they might challenge, you got to at least be able to run the play without the motion. Like, let's just go. Let's go. Now, against Mike McDaniel, you don't want to do that because he's 4 of 16 on challenges. I saw Joe Shadd, who covers the Dolphins, tweeted 4 of 16 on challenges. So I guess you do want him to challenge. But teams are so bad at that. Sometimes they get up quick if their own guy catches it and then he didn't catch it, they race up and get a snap. But outside of that, snap the ball. Again, didn't hurt them. Wouldn't have even, you could argue, been the right thing. But it's just a little detail that I felt like they didn't have right. And they just have missed so many details. So many details. Comment, all right, we going O-line or D-line in the first draft? I mean, O-line. Kim, he says, we're told franchise QBs put their teams on their backs and find a way to win. This isn't it. Instead, just a litany of excuses. Brock needs to play out his contract and hit the free agent market. I mean, I don't think that's likely. I think what's likely is that the 49ers sign him to a contract that they'd be able to get out of within a couple of years. And we acknowledge that there are blue chip franchise quarterbacks that are Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. We'll see what Lamar does in the postseason this year. And Joe Burrow, who is definitely a blue chip franchise quarterback. And then there's everybody else. Dak is not one paid like. I mean, Dak is one. Here's what makes it hard. I think Purdy's better than Dak, but this is what makes it hard. Is that Dak's good enough that it's hard to replace him. If you replaced a quarterback every 2 years when you found out they weren't Josh Allen because you're trying to find Josh Allen, I think you'd end up with a lot of non-competitive seasons. Maybe you'd get Drake May, and maybe that'd be good enough, but maybe it won't. Maybe you'd get CJ Stroud, but those are needles in the haystack. He is clearly not a put the team on his back, carry you, find a way to win guy like Mahomes. But most of them aren't. And what it takes is a team that, forget about, has a bunch of star players at every position, just doesn't make a bunch of mistakes. What it takes is a team that protects the quarterback, doesn't make mistakes, and has good players. It's been their recipe before. They got to the Super Bowl twice with it. I mean, Minnesota's doing it right now. Darnold made a throw today. No surprise. Darnold can make throws that Purdy can't make. But I'm waiting. I'm holding out on Darnold till I see the Trey Lance tape because somebody told me Trey Lance was better than Darnold last year. So holding out. But, Darnold's not a franchise quarterback. Not like in the sense Kim's talking about here, like a true franchise quarterback. But he's going to give him a chance to win playoff games this year and maybe next year. And the problem is that at some point it comes time to pay guys at that position, and they all kind of get paid the same. So, I mean, that's the reality. I don't think they're going to sign Brock Purdy to a debilitating contract for the franchise. But whether he's paid or not, what they need to do is put him in the best position to make the most of what he is, which is, I thought Kawakami wrote this last week, which is like, we're seeing his floor this year, and it's solid. It's top 15. You went through it with Cousins, and what is Carr, a top 12 quarterback, or like not top 20 or whatever? Brock is in that range. And if you do things right, it's good enough to win a division and give you a chance to compete for a championship. I do think it's that. Like, it can be that and not be this. Now, you could argue in the end, you're not going to beat Mahomes with that. That may be true. Now, on the other end of the spectrum is a comment like this from Dylan. This O-line might be the worst in the history of the NFL. Brock has no time to throw. Receivers don't separate. They can't catch in stride when they're open. They drop easy balls. See, now, this is where I can't get over here with you either, Dylan. Worst offensive line in the history of the NFL? No, it's not. Not even close. Brock has no time to throw. His time to throw is the same as it was last year. I think it's identical to what it was last year. So he's, don't absolve him of any. I don't believe that you just can't draw conclusions on Brock Purdy this year. I said it last year, and I'm going to say it this whole offseason, and it will continue. Brock Purdy is the type of player that doesn't really end the debate about whether he is a franchise quarterback or not after 1 year. If you are not going to be physically overwhelming, then it's going to take an extended period of consistent top QB play for people to buy it. Why? Because you're an exception to the rule. There's one Drew Brees. There's Joe Montana. Go watch one game of Joe tape. You'd be like, is this over the course of a decade, win a bunch of championships, clutch plays, late games, doesn't matter what he's done for 3 quarters, he's going to lead you on a game-winning drive, all that stuff. It takes time to add it up. And what I said last year was, if he was really an MVP like he was last year, he's got to go do it again. And then do it again. And he's going to have to do it again and do it again. It's just the reality. So he put together the 2024 season. Now he's put together the 2025 season. I think there are some people that want to forget that this season happened for him. Like, oh, no, he's last year's player. This year's guy, not his fault. But last year was all credit to him? No. Last year they did it together. This year they did it together. He had a hand in both. And he'll have a hand in it next year, whatever that looks like. And if he rolls it back next year and they win 13 games and he looks sweet again, there's still going to be plenty of this, let's do it again, which is fine with me. That doesn't offend my sensibilities. I think having a guy have to prove it over and over again is fine. That's how you become great, by putting 7 straight, 6 of 7, 8 of 9 excellent seasons together. So which is it? Let's break the tie next year. Is it the 2024 team or is it the 2025 quarterback? Dylan asks, are we sure Trent Williams even plays next year? He's been through some shit. It might get worse before it gets better. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know what to think of that. If the Niners pay him, they'll have another Dak. I don't think he'll get paid as much as Dak. And I think he is better than Dak. But, I mean, the spirit of that I understand. John says, hello from the 559. Bought my 262 hat. Hope it arrives for the 2025 season. It should be here by the 2025 season. I saw somebody early in the chat very angry. I'll tell you what, man. You can be mad, but this is it's a quality hat. I got to tell you. I wouldn't make a hat that it's kind of like almost like a little bit of a golf hat material. So I like it. I feel good about selling it. Again, the 262, the Purdy hat, if you're going to call it, if that's what it even represents, 262nd pick of the draft, great value there. Will he he signs a $60 million a year, we'll make a 60 hat, I guess. Yeah, vibes are not high right now. This is not the best. Someone say, guy, this is not the best possible time to start hawking hats. Vibes are low. I know, but I promised them to you way back in like September, August, July, maybe. And I wanted to at least deliver on that promise before the year is up. Comment, Brock is definitely not the reason. He just hasn't been lights out. Brock has made some big mistakes. Yeah, no doubt. There is no doubt today. The Real Deal says Bosa checked out today. All Nick Bosa has to do the next two games is not get hurt. That's what Nick Bosa has to do. Is not get hurt. That's the biggest key. The good news is that's me transitioning to an ad, by the way. The good news is you can still have a good time with PrizePicks. Right now, go to PrizePicks and use the code guy. When you sign up with the code PrizePicks and use the code guy, you make a $5 lineup. You'll immediately get $50 into your account. I've got a good lineup cooking right now. In fact, I feel very good about this. This lineup is a 4-pick play. I made $5 lineup. It's got a chance. It will make $32. Why? Because I got Bo Nix more than, where'd that go? I got Bo Nix more than half a touchdown pass. I got Ladd McConkey, hit that, more than 65.5 receiving. Justin Herbert, more than 12.5 rushing. Combined with a lineup player you can get right now, Nikola Jokic on Christmas Day, half a point. I just go more than half a point right now on Jokic. And so I got that lineup lined up and ready to go. I'll show you how easy this is right now when I jump in and make a lineup. And we'll do something for Monday night. We'll do something for football. As always, I'm going to go Josh Jacobs against the Saints more than, where's his rushing yards? I'm going to go more than 69.5 rushing yards for Josh Jacobs. I'm going to go Spencer. Josh Jacobs is playing a team that the Saints do not, I repeat, do not stop the run. Let's go Spencer Rattler. Rushing yards. I think he's going to be on the move, running for his life. We got more than 18.5 rushing yards for him. He's basically averaged 30 rushing yards in 2 of his 3 starts. And then we're going to go young quarterback. I love to go a sack there. So I'm going to go more than a quarter of a sack for Rashawn Gary against the Packers. Now I can power play this or I can flex play. If I flex play, I just need 2 of the 3 to win. And that's what I'll do. Bam, that easy. All right. Let's make another. Now there's so much you can do, like college football wise. You can make lineups. You can go NBA. I'm going to go more than 2.5 receptions for MVS. He's wide receiver 1 for the Saints. Ooh. But they're gonna throw him the ball. Revenge game for MVS. I'm gonna go Romeo. Let's go more than 2.5 receptions for Dobbs for the Packers, and then I'm gonna go Tucker Kraft for the Saints. Against the Saints, I'm gonna go more than half a touchdown as well. And 50 pays 300. I want to go. No, I'm going to go flex play again on that lineup. 2 out of 3. But just to show you, like college football, you can dive in. Oh, this doesn't have the CFP games up yet. NBA, you can go Jokic, grab some Warriors, whatever you want to do. I love going NBA rebounds. DeJounte Murray. I'll make one right now for, is that game starting? More than, oh yeah, that's in game. So I can go in game. He's already got 3. I can go more than 5.5. Anyway, very easy. Dive in. PrizePicks code guy. Appreciate y'all there. Make a $5 lineup. Immediately get $50 into your account. Dan says, does Steve Young need to give permission for Kirk Cousins to wear number 8? No. Kirk Cousins is such a highly pursued player that the 49ers will give him number 8 without even asking Steve. Comment, not sure what to think about. Oh, got to get that. It said those hats sold before Brock's out of town. That was not the comment I meant to click on, but that's funny-ish. I'm going to say ish because I already thought of that one too. Not sure what to think about Greenlaw. I mean, I would say when you're in a situation like that where you're not sure what to think, just remove the emotion and just think, what am I seeing? I'm seeing a good player that's hurt a lot. That's it. Comment, is this true? Looks like in the last 22 seasons, the Niners have either made it to the NFC Championship game or missed the playoffs. The streak continues. Lost the Super Bowl, lost the conference championship, Super Bowl. Yeah. So going back to 03, Niners missed the playoffs 03 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Lost the conference championship game, lost the Super Bowl, lost the conference championship game. Harbaugh. Then missed the playoffs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight years. Then lost the Super Bowl. Then missed the playoffs. Then lost the NFC Championship game. Then lost the NFC Championship game. Then lost the Super Bowl. And now missed the playoffs. That is an incredible streak. Oh, that's wild. That's a great find right there. Peanut says, I said it at the time. Offensive line. They made a mistake drafting Moody and Pearsall. Where are we at right now? Let's check in on Tankathon if we can. Although I don't know if this is updated. Niners are now 6-9. Let's see if the oh yeah, it is updated. All right, here we go. Let's do a this has now become part of just what we do around here. Let's do a check-in on the Niners draft position before, not counting Sunday night football. And what we got here? We got looking at the 11th pick at this moment in time. 11th pick at 6-9. New Orleans at 5-9. Dallas at 6-8. By the time you listen to this, they play on Sunday night. So I guess root for Dallas to win. If you're watching this before the fact, New Orleans, root for New Orleans. Root for New Orleans to win on Monday Night Football. You're probably not getting to 7, 8, 9 in the top 10, but there is a difference. It doesn't feel like there's a difference between 15 and 11, but there's definitely a difference, especially if you want to trade. Not that the Niners should trade, but if you do want to trade, there's definitely a difference there. Obviously, that Trey Lance pick hurt him in a big way from a draft standpoint, just because they lost depth, and it has bitten them. It has definitely bitten them. I think Coach of the Year, clearly Dan Campbell, but I got to say that Sean McVay, for me, I wouldn't vote for him because I'd vote for. But if you could rank votes, I'd go McVay number 2. I mean, that team was a missed Jake Moody field goal away. They were going to be 0-3, but they beat the Niners. They lost their next 2. The Rams could have been 0-5, and now they've got a shot to They play Arizona at home this week, and then they play Seattle at home the next week. The Rams have a chance to win 11 games this year. They started 1-4, could have been 0-5, and now have a chance to win 11. It's a really impressive season from Sean McVay. That 19-9 isn't going to impress anybody against the Jets, but this is a masterclass by Sean McVay this year. I said, is it 9, right? Yeah. So they got a chance to go 11-6 and run away with the end. They should run. They are clearly the best team in the NFC West to me. I mean, Seattle, Arizona, fool's gold early. The Rams have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, won 8 of 10 after starting 1-4. And again, could have been 0-5 if Jake Moody makes a field goal. Super chat. If the O-line holds up this 13 layer, that throw to 15, asking on that interception at the end. I don't know. Brock throws with so much anticipation that it's hard to know what's going to happen. But I don't think if I had to answer that question as I did earlier in the show, I don't think so. I think even if he doesn't get hit, that's a bad throw that he threw the interception on at the end of the game. Bad decision that he threw the pick on at the end of the game. Yeah. But anyway, I just want to finish that point. Thank you for that super chat and that question. McVay. Vic Fangio. I know they blew it late. Jalen Hurts got hurt today. But Vic Fangio, Eagles defensive coordinator, 3rd for coach of the year. I mean, who else really? Well, Andy Reid. When you've been doing it for a long time, you just get overlooked. And coach of the year is always like, we thought you were going to suck and you didn't, or you haven't won it. You kind of newish. The guys like Andy, Belichick tend not to win that award. And, they are running away with the AFC with what appears week to week to be an average team, but it's not. The Chiefs are 14-1. Tomlin would be another guy. I mean, it's just incredible. So that'd be my list, I think. That'd be my 5. I mean, Campbell's got to win it. From the NFC, Kevin O'Connell. Yeah, I mean, Kevin O'Connell also. But I think you got to give it to Campbell. Dan Quinn's very good. I wouldn't have Dan Quinn in my top 3. But, yeah, I mean, yes. Yes. Very deserving. Dan Quinn. Yeah. But you got to go with Dan Campbell. I mean, the Lions have never won 13 games in their history. Ever. They've never won 13 games. And so I think it's kind of cool that he did it before the 17th game. That he did it in 15 games is cool. I mean, we won, if you got to week 18, it's like Roger Maris hits 61, but he did it in 162 games. Babe did it in 154. That kind of stuff is eventually lost to history, but I think it's cool for him. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I do want to mention, do not put me in the camp of Indiana did not belong in the playoff. Tennessee did not belong in the playoff. SMU did not belong in the playoff. I can't say I'm going to go to the mat for SMU, but the whole thing where everybody gets mad because the games were bad and says, like, see, none of these teams belonged in the playoff. There used to be blowouts in the 4-team playoff, and I knew this was going to happen. And I said it last year. Because anyone who watches college football, like Rich Eisen gave his take on this, like, okay, anyone who watches college football knows in any given year that the line of demarcation, and by the way, ASU is a top 4 seed, Boise's a top 4 seed. Those are not 2 of the 4 best teams in college football, but fine. That's the way they seeded it. But anybody that watches college football every year knows that there are like 1 to 3 elite teams every year. And then there's a group, maybe there's 4, but it's usually 3. And then there's a group from like 5 to 8 that any one of those 4 to 8, any one of those teams at any given time could have been the 4th best team. And that's what we got here. Like, this is the way it goes. I watched, Alabama should have been in. I watched Alabama. They missed so many opportunities. So, Miami, go look at their last 3 games. So I got no sympathy for that. There is such a lack of balance in college football that there is no number you can stop at once you make the playoff more than 4 teams. Really, the playoff should be like 3, but you can't do that. But you can stop at 12, you stop at 14, you stop at 16. Whatever number you stop at now, there's just all those teams are kind of similar. So, anyway. Okay, that's that for this. We got plenty big off-season stuff to get to. UNLV, yeah, hell of a year. And interesting new hire, too. So they're keeping it rolling. Go to, if you're into it, go to heyguy.co and you can buy the Hey Guy hat that is available in black or white. heyguy.co/shop. That's available in black or white. I think we did a really good job on these. The guys worked very hard on them. I know Steve worked very hard on this and getting it right and finding a gold thread that wouldn't break. And so they turn out good. So if you don't like them, it's great. Fine. And if you don't want them, I get it. And if you're like, right now is not the time, guy, that's cool too. I'm not offended. But if you do want them, and if you've been wanting them, and you were one of the original people that said, hey, well, let me know. Well, then now you can get them now. All right. So you can go to heyguy.co. And if you don't want that, but you want to send me an email, kind of a mailbag type thing, you can go to heyguy.co and on that page, you can just hit contact and send me a longer note, stuff that won't get lost in the DMs, that sort of thing. All right. On that note, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out again. There will be better circumstances again soon, I think. And